you wonderful people, if you clicked on this video, it's either because I make way better clickbait than I thought, or you're interested in learning about credit. Either way, welcome and let's get to it. Okay, so I know what you're probably thinking. How does she even have any credit? What does she even know about credit? Well, if you watch any of my other videos, literally any of my other videos, because I plug my mom in every single one of them, you know she's a banker. Not just a banker, she is an expert banker in her field. Actually, just not even her field, she's an expert banker. But thanks to this, she's helped me gather a pretty good, or what I think is a pretty good grasp on finances. And I did a lot of research, so I like to think that I can help other people. I was very fortunate at an early age to be taught about credit, but it's something that I realized not many 18-year-olds really were taught about or got a good grasp about. And so that's something I really thank my mom for, even whenever I was 18 and she came in and she was like, okay, you're getting a credit card. And I was like, oh, okay, yes, sis. And it was to a store that, like, when I say I would never, I mean a capital Never, never shop at before. I was just like, this is a joke. Why am I doing this? I'm never gonna use this. What's the point of it? And lo and behold, it was to build my credit. 6 months later, I was 18 with credit. Not just any credit, good credit, good credit. And so it's just something I've been really grateful for, especially as I've kind of graduated and went more into getting my own house, getting a car. It's just something that you're gonna have to have. So I've been very grateful that I was taught so early how to do this, and now I can kind of shed light on that for other people my age, and hopefully kind of get you guys started as well. But after listening to that, I put reading it in my notes, but you guys are obviously not reading, you're listening. You guys might be asking, what is credit? Like, what's my credit score? What is it? Well, a credit score is a number that lenders look at whenever determining whether they want to lend you money or not. It's based on previous history of paying debts. It just kind of shows them if it's worth taking the risk of giving you the money or not, because do you pay your past debts? But basically, it just helps lenders determine if it's worth taking the risk. They do this by looking at your credit score. The higher the number, the better. It is determined off a few different factors, which I'll go in a little bit later. But generally, if you do not have a credit score, it makes it almost impossible to finance anything. If you're paying cash, great, but I'm fresh out of college. I can't afford cash for everything, so I had to take out some loans. And without credit, I would not have been able to do that. But it's really hard to finance anything without credit. If you guys have any questions about financing, I made another video that I will link up top that talks more about financing and loans and stuff, so you can just kind of click up there and go watch that one as well. But whenever you don't have credit and you're looking to finance, one of your only options might be getting a cosigner. That's not a problem as long as you're reliable and you have somebody that will trust you, because a cosigner, when they sign, they're pretty much saying that if you do not pay for this loan, then they are willing to be held responsible, and then they have to pay for it. And if they don't pay for it, then it's just this whole long thing, and then you're on bounty hunters, and it's just an experience you probably don't want to go through. I know I wouldn't want to go through it, which just kind of even stresses even more the importance of credit. Plus, having good credit can just really help you win financing, because generally, whenever looking at financing, you go off of kind of your interest rates. Well, if you have a higher credit score, then you are more likely going to get a higher interest, or a lower, you don't want a higher interest rate, a lower interest rate, which in the end can end up saving you so much money. Like, let's just look at cars, because I just made a video about the car buying process. And on average, people with a 780 credit score when buying a car gets an interest rate of 4.1%, compared to somebody with a 500 or lower credit score. They get an average interest rate of about 14.3%. That is a 10% difference. If that's $100, which more than likely you're not going to buy a car for $100, but just say if that's $100, that difference right there is going to save somebody $10 alone just on $100. So imagine when you get to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. But now that we have discussed the importance of credit scores and what they're used for and everything, let's talk about good credit scores, because anyone can have a credit score, but whether it's good is the question. So credit scores range from anywhere from 300 to 850. That's a lot of wiggle room, don't you think? But when looking at it, if you see a credit score above 650, that's a good credit score. That's good, it's great. If you see a credit score above 800, that is excellent. That's just wonderful. You're gonna get the best interest rates you could possibly get. And I know you're looking at me. I'm 21 and I have almost an excellent credit score. With only 3 years and two credit cards, one of them I don't even use. Now, how did I do this? How? You wanna know? I'm gonna tell you. Remember how I said earlier I'm gonna get into what a credit score is calculated from? Well, now's later. Knowing what credit scores are calculated from is gonna help you know how to build your credit score, which is important. To determine a credit score, these 4 things are taken into consideration. They are your payment history on anything. It's your payment history on your bills, it's your payment history on your car loans, your credit cards, anything. It's your payment history in general. How much credit you regularly have on your credit cards. So if you keep your payments down and your debt really low, it shows that it's great. You making your payments, you have the money, awesome. Another one is how long you've had credit cards and loans. As time goes on and you just keep showing them how reliable you are, it's just gonna keep going up. So I've had mine for 3 years, which is not long at all in the grand scheme of things. But for those 3 years, I've been very reliable, which has just really helped me out. And lastly, how often you apply for new credit loans. But knowing all of this has really helped me be able to get my credit score higher in the long run. The very first thing that I do to ensure my credit score stays up and gets higher is I pay my bills on time. Things happen, everyone knows it. Banks give you a grace period, and if you don't pay it in that grace period, which I think is literally like a week, it's gonna say that you're not reliable. Like, things totally happen. Everyone gets that, it's fine. But if you're constantly missing your payments, it's gonna cause your credit score to go down because you're not reliable to them. You're not making your payments constantly. It's a wishy-washy kind of situation. I don't know about you, but I personally don't like being in a wishy-washy situation, so I can only imagine how a bank is. So you just want to make sure that you're paying your bills on time just so your credit isn't affected negatively. The next thing I do is I pay off my debts as soon as I put them on there. So, for example, I have 3 different credit cards, and they're not like big credit cards I can spend anywhere. They're to specific stores. And when I know I'm going to use them, I will kind of figure up in my head what I can afford if I were to pay with my debit card or anything like that. And I go in there, I spend that money, and then that night I will go on and I'll actually pay off that credit card. So it shows the credit union that I'm using it, I have it, wonderful, but then it's also showing them that I am also not letting it get way high, I'm paying it off, I have the money, I'm reliable. So it just really helps whenever you're showing that you use them, you got them, but you can keep them low. The next thing I try to do is keep my credit from being checked as little as possible, because generally when your credit is ran, it causes it to lower, even if it's just a little bit. So you really want to try and do everything at one time if you can and cause as little hits as possible. So opening credit card after credit card after credit card after credit card is not really ever a good idea. Doing just loan after loan after loan after loan is not either, but sometimes things happen. I just had to do a car loan and a house loan in literally the same month, so I totally get it. But those were also my first 2 dings to my credit in almost 2 years, I believe. So you just want to kind of keep the hits and the dings to your credit being checked as low as possible. And the last thing I do is I personally leave all my credit cards open, even the ones I don't use. About 2 years ago, I cut up 2 of them, and I don't think I've used them since. But having it on there shows them that, hey, I still have it. I'm still making my payments. My debt's 0. And it just kind of shows them that, hey, she's still reliable. She still has them. She's not spending money she doesn't have, which is great. It just kind of helps me keep and grow my credit score, which if you don't have a credit score and you're starting out, great, wonderful. You're at a clean slate. That's awesome. A good credit score can be so beneficial to all ages. The sooner you can start growing it, the better. Credit is used in so many things, whether it's being approved for rent, being approved for a loan, getting good interest rates. I mean, credit is used very often, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's just a very important part of your everyday life, your finances, particularly, okay. And you just really never know when life's gonna throw lemons at you. And to make lemonade, sometimes you gotta have credit. So, but either way, I hope this helped a little bit and it answered more questions than you might be left with right now. If you have any questions or anything like that, you can leave them in the comments. If I can't answer them, I will ask my mother. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys on our next adventure into the wild, or the world. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this with all your friends. I would love some feedback or advice on more videos you guys would like to see or more things you'd like me to kind of dive into. For more tips and tools to build your credit or establish it, go to jadenscredit.com. I packed it all into one website for you. I will link it on the page somewhere. And until next time, adios.